Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into an idea that smashes together ancient wisdom and cutting-edge neuroscience. It's this: the key to changing your reality? Yeah, it isn't out there somewhere. It's inside you.
So let's just kick things off with this really provocative question from Deepak Chopra, because it's going to be the anchor for everything we talk about today. What if your life is just a direct mirror of how you see yourself?
Okay, first things first. We got to define what we're even talking about here. That word, abundance, gets tossed around all the time, right? But for a lot of us, our definition is, well, it's pretty narrow.
And that's what Chopra points out. So many of us hear abundance and we immediately think money, cash, wealth. But that's just one tiny piece of the pie. True abundance is your health, it's love, it's joy, it's creativity, it's the richness of your entire life. So for this to work, we have to start by thinking bigger.
All right, now for the science part. If abundance is all around us, why do our lives so often feel like they're just stuck on a loop? Dr. Joe Dispenza's work gives us this incredible, science-backed reason for why we get trapped in these patterns.
So this is the absolute key right here. Your personality isn't just who you are, it's the engine that literally creates your life. Your inner world, what you're thinking, how you're acting, what you're feeling, that is constantly broadcasting and creating your outer world. The two are completely, fundamentally linked.
And it all starts right here, in your head. You know, the average person has something like 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day, which is just wild. But here's the real kicker. A whopping 90% of those thoughts are the exact same thoughts you had yesterday. I mean, just let that sink in. And, well, if you're thinking the same old thoughts, guess what follows? The same old choices.
And those choices, when you make them over and over and over again, they start to cement themselves into these unconscious habits, these automatic behaviors. You just do them without a second thought, day after day.
And there it is. That's the loop. Your same personality, running on the exact same software, can only produce the same personal reality, you know? If you want a different life, you can't keep feeding the system the same old data. I mean, look at that number. By the time we're 35 years old, that cycle is so deeply ingrained that we're basically living on autopilot 95% of the time. This is what Dr. Dispenza calls the old self. It's a personality so memorized that it's running our lives from the subconscious.
Okay, so if the old self is the problem, then the answer has to be in finding a new self. And to do that, we're going to follow Deepak Chopra's advice and zoom out. I mean, we're going to zoom way, way out, from our tiny personal identity to a universal one.
This is such a cool comparison. Over on the left, you've got the ego self. You can think of it as your resume self, right? Your name, your job, everything you've ever done. It's your history. But look at the right, the universal self. That's the recognition that you are literally made of stardust. You're connected to the entire history of the cosmos.
And look, this isn't just some pretty poetic idea. It's a genuine fundamental shift in perspective. The moment you start to identify with the whole universe instead of just your personal story, you break out of that tiny little box of the old self. And that's where infinite possibilities open up.
So that's a huge concept, right? But how we actually go from knowing we're the universe to, living like it? This is where we circle back to Dr. Dispenza's work because he gives us a really practical process for making this change happen.
This is the absolute heart of the work. You cannot walk into a new future while holding on to the old you. It just doesn't work. It demands that you fundamentally let go, neurologically, biologically, chemically, of that old self to make space for a new one.
And Dispenza gives us this clear four-step roadmap. It all starts with observation. You have to become aware of your unconscious programs. Then, disconnection. You have to consciously choose to step away from them. Next, rehearsal. This is where you start mentally installing the wiring for your future self. And finally, and this is the tough one, sustain. You have to maintain that new state of being all day long.
Now, that second step, disconnect, that's where most of us hit a wall. This space, this unknown, frankly, it feels terrifying. It's uncomfortable. See, our brains are wired for survival, and survival means predictable. So the predictable past feels safe, and the unknown future feels like a threat. Your body, which is literally addicted to old feelings like guilt or worry, will start screaming at you to go back. That moment of discomfort, that is the moment. That's where you have to choose your future over your past.
And this is where the real neuroscience magic happens. When you close your eyes and you mentally rehearse who you want to be, you are literally installing new neural circuits in your brain. You're building the hardware that's going to make those new thoughts and feelings feel automatic. Your brain actually stops being a record of your past, and it becomes a map to your future.
So, after all of this work, the observing, the discomfort, the mental rehearsals, what's the payoff? What does it actually feel like to live as this new person in this new reality? Well, you'll know you've really shifted, not by what you get, but by how you feel. It's this quiet confidence, this inner peace. It's a deep down knowing that everything's okay, that your needs are met. You stop chasing abundance because you realize you are abundance. And then the coolest thing happens. The universe starts leaving you these little clues, these synchronicities and coincidences, just to show you you're on the right track.
And this just flips the script on how most of us think about our goals. We've been taught to believe that the whole point is to acquire stuff, to get the things, to achieve the outcomes.
But the real prize, the true goal, it's the person you become in the process, the person who overcomes their old self. That new version of you, that is the source where all the good stuff flows from. The becoming is the reward.
And really, when you boil it all down, this whole journey is about rewiring your own sense of self-worth. When you do the hard work to become someone new, you start to naturally feel worthy of a new life. You become an energetic match for the very abundance you've been wanting.
So that's the ultimate takeaway. The goal was never really about what you'll get in the end. It's always been about who you will decide to become along the way. And that decision, well, it's available to you right now, in this very moment. The only question left is the one right there on the screen. And that's a question only you can answer.